The champagne glass in Simeon's hand was shaking. Not because of the luxury cruise ship rocking gently beneath her feet, but because of the man currently telling a room full of Seoul's elite that she was his wife. She'd never seen him before in her life. His hand wrapped around hers, warm and firm and completely confident. Like this wasn't the most insane thing that had ever happened. Like her heart wasn't trying to explode out of her chest. Like he grabbed random strangers and claimed to be married to them every day. "Act like my wife," he'd whispered seconds before, his dark eyes meeting hers with something that looked almost like desperation. Now everyone was staring. Cameras were flashing. And Simeon had about 30 seconds to decide if she was brave enough or stupid enough to play along with whatever scheme this dangerous man had just pulled her into. Spoiler alert, she chose stupid, and it would be the best, worst decision of her entire life. Before you find out what happens next, do me a quick favor. I know you're hooked already. I can tell. Drop a comment right now and tell me what would you do if a complete stranger grabbed your hand and called you his wife in front of a room full of dangerous-looking people? Let me know, because this story gets so much crazier and I need to know we're on this ride together. I should have turned left at the marble statue. That's what I kept thinking as I stood frozen in the doorway of the private lounge, staring at a room full of people who looked like they could buy my entire life with their pocket change. The cruise ship rocked gently beneath my feet, but my stomach was doing something completely different. As I was saying, a woman in a red dress continued, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "The merger depends on this marriage. Your father agreed to the terms before he died." The man sitting in the center of the room didn't flinch. He was younger than I expected, maybe early 30s, with dark hair pushed back from his face. His expression was so blank it looked painful. "My father agreed to many things," he said quietly. "I am not my father." I started backing up slowly. Whatever this was, I wanted no part of it. My job was simple. Translate for the guests, smile politely, and try not to mess up so badly that I'd lose my chance at a promotion. Walking into what looked like a mafia negotiation was definitely not in my job description. "Do-yoon, be reasonable," an older man jumped in. "The girl is perfect for you. Same background, same social standing. This is how our world works." "Your world," the younger man, Do-Yun apparently, said. "Not mine." My shoe squeaked against the polished floor. Every head in the room turned toward me. I felt my face get hot. "Sorry, wrong room. I'll just go." "Wait." Do-Yun stood up. He moved fast, crossing the space between us before I could process what was happening. His hand wrapped around mine, warm and firm. "You're late, darling." My brain short-circuited. "What?" He pulled me closer, his dark eyes meeting mine for just a second. There was something desperate in them, something that didn't match his calm voice. "I said you're late. I've been telling them about you, but they didn't believe me." "Telling them what?" I whispered, but he was already turning back to the room, keeping my hand locked in his. "Everyone," he said, his voice carrying across the stunned silence. "I'd like you to meet my wife." The woman in the red dress actually gasped. I tried to pull my hand free, but his grip tightened just slightly. "Just enough to keep me there." "Your wife?" The older man's face turned an interesting shade of purple. "Cha Do-Yun. What kind of game is this?" "No game." Do-Yun's thumb brushed across my knuckles, a gesture that would have looked affectionate if my heart wasn't trying to escape my chest. "We've been married for 6 months, privately. I wasn't ready to announce it until now." This was insane. This was completely insane. I opened my mouth to tell everyone the truth, that I was just a translator who got lost looking for the bathroom, but Do-Yun's hand squeezed mine once. A warning. 6 months, the woman in red repeated slowly. She looked at me like I was something stuck to her shoe. "And who exactly are you?" My voice came out weird and squeaky. I cleared my throat. Simeon Carter." "Carter," another man murmured. "I don't know any Carters." "You wouldn't," Do-Yun said smoothly. "She's not from Seoul. We met abroad." The lies were piling up so fast I could barely track them. The room buzzed with whispers. I caught fragments of conversations. Words like impossible and embarrassing and what was he thinking. The woman in red recovered first. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "How romantic. A secret wedding. And you didn't think to mention this to anyone, Do-Yun? Not even your business partners?" "My personal life is personal," he replied. I don't recall asking permission. But the agreement with the Park family, the older man sputtered, the marriage arrangement, the contracts, are void. Do-yoon's voice could have frozen water. I'm already married. The contracts are meaningless. I should have said something. I should have told everyone this was a misunderstanding. But there was something about the way Do-yoon stood there, calm and unmovable while everyone else looked ready to explode, that made me hesitate. Plus, his hand was still holding mine, and my brain was having trouble forming complete thoughts. This is unacceptable, the woman in red hissed. She pulled out her phone, fingers flying over the screen. If you think you can just bring some random girl and expect us to believe this pathetic story. Believe what you want, Do-yoon said. He finally let go of my hand, but only to wrap his arm around my waist. I stiffened. We're done here. Enjoy the cruise. He steered me toward the door while everyone in the room started talking at once. The noise rose behind us like a wave, but he kept walking, keeping me pressed against his side. We made it into the hallway. My legs felt like rubber. Keep walking, he muttered. Don't look back. They're watching. Are you out of your mind? I whispered back. Those people looked ready to murder you. And me. Mostly me, actually. Probably. We turned a corner and he finally released me. I stumbled back, putting distance between us. My heart was hammering so hard I could hear it in my ears. Okay, I said, holding up my hands. I don't know what that was, but I'm going back there right now to tell them the truth before this gets completely out of control. It's already out of control. He leaned against the wall, running a hand through his hair. For the first time, he looked tired. And you can't tell them anything. Watch me. I turned to go back, but he caught my wrist. Gently this time. Wait. Made me pause. You have 30 seconds, I told him, and then I'm going to scream for security. Those people in that room, he said, speaking fast, they've been trying to force me into a marriage for the past year. A business arrangement. The woman in red, that's the mother of the girl they want me to marry. They've been threatening my business, my people, everything I've built. So you decided to drag a random stranger into it. I pulled my wrist free. Do you have any idea how insane that is? Yes. He looked straight at me. But I was desperate, and you walked in at exactly the right moment. The right moment for you, maybe. This is a disaster for me. I work here. This is my job. I can't be part of whatever mafia drama you have going on. Something flickered across his face. Mafia drama? I've heard the rumors, I said. Everyone in Seoul has. Cha Do-yoon, the untouchable businessman with connections to everything shady and dangerous. And yet you haven't run away yet. He had a point. I should have been halfway across the ship by now. But something kept my feet planted on the expensive carpet. Maybe it was the desperation I'd seen in his eyes. Maybe it was curiosity. Or maybe I was just an idiot. Look, I said slowly, I'll give you tonight. Let them think whatever they want for now. But tomorrow morning, first thing, we tell everyone the truth. Deal? 1 week. What? No, absolutely not. The cruise is 7 days, he said. Give me 1 week. Keep up the appearance that we're married. When we dock back in Seoul, we can quietly separate. I'll make sure you're compensated for your time. I laughed, but it sounded bitter. You want to pay me to pretend to be your wife? Do you hear yourself right now? I'll make it worth your while. Name your price. And there it was. The thing that made my chest tight and my jaw clench. Rich people always thought everything could be bought. That everyone had a price. I'd dealt with this my whole life in Seoul. The assumption that because I was black, because I was foreign, because I wasn't born into money, I must be desperate enough to do anything for cash. I don't want your money, I said coldly. I want you to leave me alone. I walked away before he could respond. My hands were shaking. The hallway seemed longer than before, the walls pressing in. I needed air. I needed to think. Behind me, I heard him call out. They already took pictures. I stopped walking. What? In the room, before we left, I saw at least 3 phones out. By now those photos are already spreading. He walked closer, his footsteps soft on the carpet. Your face is attached to mine on social media. Even if we tell the truth tomorrow, the damage is done. My stomach dropped. You're lying. He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen a few times, then held it out to me. The photo was blurry but clear enough. Do-yoon's arm around my waist, both of us standing in the doorway. The caption read, Cha Do-yoon's secret wife revealed. Photos from luxury cruise. There were already hundreds of comments. Who is she? Never heard of her. She's not even Korean. Wait, is she black? No way that's real. He probably hired her for publicity. I felt sick. I shoved the phone back at him. Make them delete it. I can't control the internet. Neither can you. But we can control the narrative. He pocketed his phone. Help me. 1 week, then I promise. I'll fix this. I'll make sure your name is cleared and your life goes back to normal. My life is never going back to normal, I said quietly. People have already decided who I am based on one picture. The weight of that hit me harder than I expected. I'd worked so hard in Seoul. 5 years of proving myself, learning Korean, dealing with stares and comments and casual racism disguised as curiosity. I'd built a life here. A small one. Maybe not glamorous. But it was mine. And this man had destroyed it in less than 30 minutes. I know I've put you in an impossible position, Do-yoon said. His voice was softer now, almost gentle. And I know you have no reason to trust me. But I'm asking anyway. Help me end this situation with those families, and I swear I'll make sure you come out of this better than before. How? I looked up at him. How could I possibly be better off after being labeled as some gold digger who trapped a mafia boss? You let me worry about your reputation, and I'm not a mafia boss. Everyone says you are. Everyone says a lot of things. A small smile tugged at his mouth. Doesn't make them true. I wanted to keep arguing, but exhaustion was creeping in. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving me shaky and confused. I need time to think, I said finally. Fair enough. But Simeon, he waited until I looked at him again. Don't go back to that room alone. Some of those people are dangerous when they don't get their way. A chill ran down my spine. Are you trying to scare me? I'm trying to warn you. There's a difference. He walked away then, disappearing around the corner and leaving me standing alone in the hallway. The ship swayed beneath my feet, and somewhere above me, I could hear laughter and music from the main deck party. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out with trembling fingers. 5 missed calls from my supervisor, 12 text messages from coworkers, and 1 email with the subject line, Urgent. Call me immediately. This was falling apart faster than I could process. I found an empty stairwell and sat down on the steps, my phone clutched in my hand. I should call my supervisor. I should explain what happened. But what would I even say? Sorry. I accidentally got fake married to one of the most feared men in Seoul. Another notification popped up. Someone had tagged me on Instagram. I didn't even have a public Instagram. I kept everything private, specifically to avoid situations like this. But someone had found me anyway. The post was a side-by-side comparison. Do-yoon in an old magazine photo, looking cold and untouchable, next to a picture of me from my company website. The caption made my eyes burn. Comments flooded in underneath. She's actually pretty, though. Pretty doesn't mean she belongs in his world. I bet she planned this. Probably threw herself at him. Do-yoon could do so much better. I locked my phone and pressed my forehead against my knees. Don't cry. Don't you dare cry over comments from strangers who don't know anything about you. But it hurt anyway. It always hurt. There you are. I jerked my head up. A young woman in a crew uniform stood at the top of the stairs, slightly out of breath. I recognized her from the welcome meeting that morning. Min-ji, one of the other translators. Everyone's looking for you, she said. The supervisor is losing his mind. And also, is it true about you and Cha Do-yoon? Great. Even the staff knew already. It's complicated, I muttered. That's a yes. Min-ji sat down next to me, her eyes wide with excitement. Simeon, do you have any idea who he is? Like, actually who he is? A businessman. I've heard the rumors. Not just rumors. My cousin works in finance. And she says Do-yoon basically controls half of Seoul's import-export business. He's connected to everyone. Politicians, celebrities, corporate leaders. People don't mess with him because he knows too much about everyone. That didn't make me feel better. So he's dangerous. Maybe. Or maybe he's just smart enough to survive in a world full of sharks. Min-ji nudged my shoulder. Either way, you landed the catch of the century. How did you even meet him? I didn't. Not really. It's all a misunderstanding, but even as I said it, I remembered the way Do-yoon had looked at me in that room. Like he knew something I didn't. Like maybe our meeting wasn't quite as accidental as it seemed. Min-ji checked her phone and winced. Okay, real talk. You need to call the supervisor before he sends out a search party. Want me to walk with you? No, I'll handle it. I stood up, brushing off my skirt. Thanks, though. She gave me a quick hug. For what it's worth, I think you two look good together. The photo is all over the ship already. Very romantic. Romantic? Right. Nothing said romance, like being used as a human shield against forced marriage contracts. I made my way back to my cabin, avoiding the main decks where passengers would be gathering for dinner. My supervisor could wait 5 more minutes. I needed to change out of these clothes and wash my face and figure out what I was going to do. My cabin was small but comfortable, tucked away in the crew section of the ship. I unlocked the door and stepped inside, immediately kicking off my shoes. That's when I noticed the envelope on my bed. I hadn't left an envelope on my bed. My heart rate picked up again. Slowly, I walked over and picked it up. Heavy paper, expensive, no writing on the outside. I opened it. Inside was a handwritten note on cream-colored cardstock. Simeon, I realize our introduction was unconventional. I'm sorry for putting you in this position. Whatever you decide, I'll respect it. But if you choose to help me, meet me on the sky deck at 9 tonight. Come alone. If you don't come, I'll understand. I'll do my best to correct the narrative and keep you out of the rest of this mess. Sidui. I read it 3 times. The handwriting was neat, controlled. Kind of like the man himself. The smart thing to do would be to ignore this, stay in my cabin, call my supervisor, and let the chips fall where they may. But the note said he'd respect my decision. That he'd try to fix things even if I walked away. Maybe I was an idiot, but I almost believed him. I checked the time on my phone. 8:15. 45 minutes to decide if I was brave or just stupid. My phone rang. My supervisor. I took a deep breath and answered. Simeon, what in the world is going on? I've been getting calls all evening about you and some guest. Please tell me the photos online are photoshopped. I closed my eyes. It's complicated, Mr. Park. Uncomplicate it now. So I tried. I explained about getting lost, walking into the wrong room, the misunderstanding. I left out the part where Do-yoon had explicitly asked me to pretend to be his wife. That seemed like it would make things worse. Mr. Park was silent for a long moment after I finished. And you've never met Cha Do-yoon before tonight? Never. Another pause. Simeon, I want to believe you, but this looks very bad. The company has a reputation to maintain. We can't have our staff involved in scandals with guests, especially guests of Do-yoon's caliber. My chest tightened. Are you firing me? Not yet, but I need you to stay away from him for the rest of the cruise. No more contact. Keep your head down and do your job. When we get back to Seoul, we'll discuss your future with the company. Understood? Understood, I whispered. He hung up. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the note in my hand. Stay away from Do-yoon. That was the smart choice. The safe choice. But safe hadn't gotten me very far in life, and something about this whole situation felt unfinished. At 8:55, I found myself climbing the stairs to the sky deck. The night air was cool and salty. String lights hung overhead, creating little pools of warm light against the darkness. The deck was empty except for one figure standing at the railing, looking out at the ocean. Do-yoon turned when he heard my footsteps. He'd changed clothes, trading the formal wear for dark jeans and a simple black shirt. He looked more human this way, less like an untouchable businessman, and more like a regular person. You came, he said. He sounded surprised. Don't make me regret it. I stopped a few feet away, crossing my arms. I just got off the phone with my supervisor. He basically told me to stay away from you or lose my job. I'm sorry. Are you? Because from where I'm standing, you got exactly what you wanted. A fake wife to get those people off your back. What do you care if it ruins my life? He flinched. Actually flinched. Like my words had physically hit him. You're right. I was selfish. I saw an opportunity, and I took it without thinking about the cost to you. I hadn't expected him to admit it so easily. It took the wind out of my anger. So why am I here? I asked. What else could you possibly want from me? Do-yoon turned back to the ocean. The lights from the ship reflected off the dark water. creating patterns that shifted and changed. I want to give you a choice, a real one this time. They're not going to let this go. They'll dig into your background, try to find dirt, maybe even threaten you directly. Being connected to me, even falsely, puts a target on your back. He paused. But if we commit to this story, if we make it convincing, I can protect you. And when it's over, I can give you something you actually want. Not money. Something better. Like what? He looked at me then, his dark eyes serious. What do you want most in the world, Simeon Carter? The question caught me off guard. What did I want? The easy answer was the promotion, financial security. But that wasn't quite right. I want respect, I said slowly. I want to be seen as someone who earned her place, not someone who got lucky or schemed her way in. I want people to take me seriously. Du-Yun nodded like he'd expected that answer. I can give you that. I have connections to every major company in Seoul. I can open doors for you that would stay closed otherwise. Not as a favor, but as payment for helping me. When this cruise ends, you'll have opportunities you never imagined. It was tempting. Dangerously tempting. And if I say no, I asked, then I'll do everything I can to minimize the damage to your reputation. It won't be perfect, but I'll try. He pushed off from the railing. Either way, I owe you an apology. What I did tonight was wrong. I panicked and I used you, and I'm sorry. The apology sounded genuine. That scared me almost more than the threats from earlier. I walked to the railing, looking out at the endless dark water. The ship cut through the waves, leaving white foam in its wake. Somewhere out there was the life I'd built carefully over 5 years. Small and safe and mine. But maybe it was time to take a risk. 1 week, I heard myself say. I'll play along for 1 week. But we need rules. Du-Yun moved closer, close enough that I could smell his cologne. Something subtle and expensive. Name them. No touching unless absolutely necessary. No surprise announcements. You tell me your plans before you do anything that involves me. I held up a finger for each rule. And when this is over, you help me find a better job. Not through connections or favors. You help me build a real portfolio that stands on its own merit. Deal? He extended his hand. Deal. I shook it, his palm warm against mine. This was probably the worst decision I'd ever made. But something about the way he looked at me, with relief and gratitude and something else I couldn't quite name, made me think maybe, just maybe, it might be worth it. So, I said, pulling my hand back. What happens now, husband? A real smile crossed his face, small but genuine. Now, wife, we go to dinner and convince everyone that we're madly in love. Great, I muttered, no pressure. But as we walked toward the dining room together, I felt something flutter in my chest. Nervousness, definitely. Fear, absolutely. And maybe, just maybe, the tiniest bit of excitement. This was going to be one very long week. The dining room looked like something out of a movie. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, tables draped in white cloth, candles flickering in the center of each one. Soft classical music played from somewhere I couldn't see. Every person in the room screamed wealth, from their jewelry to the way they held their wine glasses. I felt completely out of place in my simple black dress. Du-Yun's hand found the small of my back, guiding me forward. I tried not to stiffen at the touch. We'd agreed on minimal contact, but apparently this counted as necessary. Smile, he murmured near my ear. They're all watching. He wasn't wrong. Conversations died as we passed. I could feel eyes tracking our movement across the room. Someone whispered something behind their hand. Someone else pulled out their phone. This is awful, I whispered back through my smile. Could be worse. How? They could be throwing things. I almost laughed. Almost. Is that a real possibility? With this crowd? Maybe? A waiter appeared, leading us to a table near the center of the room. Of course it was in the center. Maximum visibility. Du-Yun pulled out my chair before I could do it myself. The gesture looked smooth, practiced, like he'd done this 1,000 times. Maybe he had. What did I actually know about this man? Thank you, I said, sitting down. My voice sounded too formal. He sat across from me, his expression unreadable. You're doing fine. I haven't done anything yet. Exactly. Most people would have run by now. The waiter returned with menus and water. I opened mine and immediately felt lost. Everything was in French. Of course it was. Do-yoon ordered for both of us without looking at the menu. The waiter nodded and disappeared. I could have ordered for myself, I said. Do you speak French? No, but that's not the point. What is the point? I set down my water glass harder than intended. The point is, you can't just make decisions for me. That's not how marriage works, even fake ones. Something flickered in his eyes. Amusement, maybe. You're right. I apologize. Next time, I'll let you struggle through a menu in a language you don't speak. You're stubborn. You're controlling. Don't find him interesting. This is a business arrangement. The woman in red from earlier appeared next to our table like a bad dream. Up close, she was even more intimidating. Her makeup was flawless. Her dress probably cost more than my yearly rent, and her smile was sharp enough to cut. Do-yoon, she said sweetly, how lovely to see you at dinner. And your mysterious wife, of course. Mrs. Kang. Do-yoon stood, buttoning his jacket. Always the gentleman, apparently. Enjoying the cruise? I would be if I wasn't so confused. Her eyes slid to me. You see, I've been making some calls, asking around. And the strangest thing, no one seems to know anything about a wedding 6 months ago. No records, no witnesses, nothing. We married abroad. Privately, as I mentioned. Yes, you mentioned that. But surely there would be some record. A marriage certificate, perhaps? She tilted her head. I'd love to see it. Our personal documents are none of your business. But your marriage very much is my business. The contract with the Park family, the merger, millions of dollars are involved. You can't expect everyone to just take your word that this, she gestured at me dismissively, is legitimate. Heat crawled up my neck. The way she said this, like I was an object, like I wasn't sitting right there. Mrs. Kang, I said, keeping my voice level. I understand this is surprising, but whether you believe it or not doesn't change the facts. Do-yoon and I are married. You'll have to find another way to secure your merger. Her eyes narrowed. You speak Korean well. For a foreigner. I've lived in Seoul for 5 years. I work as a translator. A translator. She said it like it was a dirty word. How convenient that you happen to translate your way into one of Korea's most eligible bachelors. Do-yoon's jaw tightened. That's enough. Is it though? Because I think we're all wondering the same thing. What could possibly make Cha Do-yoon marry someone so completely unsuitable? The word hung in the air. Unsuitable. I knew what she meant. Not rich enough. Not connected enough. Not Korean enough. That love makes people do unexpected things. He looked around Do-yoon's age, maybe slightly older, dressed casually compared to everyone else in the room. Do-yoon's expression shifted. J1. I didn't know you were on this cruise. Last-minute decision. And causing problems for people like you, who think the world should operate on contracts and arrangements instead of actual human feelings. Mrs. Kang's face flushed. This is a private conversation. In the middle of a dining room? Please. J1 pulled up a chair and sat down without invitation. I'm interrupting. You were just leaving. For a second, I thought Mrs. Kang might argue. But something about J1's casual confidence seemed to throw her off balance. She gathered herself, shot me one last poisonous look, and walked away. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Thank you, Do-yoon said quietly. Don't mention it. Literally. If anyone asks, I was never here. J1 grinned at me. Kim J1. Old friend of this grumpy man. Simeon Carter. I shook his offered hand. And it's not exactly what it looks like. It never is with Do-yoon. J1 leaned back in his chair. So how much trouble are you two in? Scale of 1 to 10. 15, I said. Do-yoon shot me a look. We're handling it. By handling it. You mean lying to everyone on this ship about being married? J1 laughed. This is the most interesting thing you've done in years. You know? I stared at Do-yoon. You told him? J1 is trustworthy. And I needed someone watching my back. Do-yoon's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and frowned. I need to take this. Excuse me. He stood and walked toward the balcony. Phone pressed to his ear. That left me alone with J1, who was studying me with open curiosity. Getting tangled up with Seoul's most complicated bachelor. Something like that. I fidgeted with my napkin. How long have you known him? Since we were kids, our families ran in the same circles. Well before Do-yoon's family imploded. My ears perked up. Imploded. J1 seemed to realize he'd said too much. That's his story to tell. But let's just say there's a reason he doesn't trust easily, and a reason half of Seoul's elite want to control him. Because of his business? Because of what he knows. Do-yoon has files on everyone who matters. Insurance, he calls it. Makes him valuable and dangerous at the same time. Jae-won's expression turned serious. Look, I don't know what deal you two made, but be careful. The people pressuring him into marriage, they don't give up easily, and they really won't like losing to an outsider. I'm starting to get that impression. Good. Stay sharp. He stood as Do-yoon returned to the table. I'll leave you lovebirds alone. Remember, if anyone asks, we hate each other. We do hate each other, Do-yoon said, but there was warmth in his voice. Jae-won winked at me and disappeared into the crowd. Do-yoon sat back down, running a hand through his hair. He looked stressed. Problem? I asked. Always. He picked up his wine glass, then set it down without drinking. That was my attorney. Mrs. Kang has filed a formal complaint with the ship's management. She's claiming our marriage is fraudulent and demanding an investigation. My heart sank. Can she do that? She can try. It won't go anywhere without proof. But it makes things complicated. He looked at me. I'm sorry. This keeps getting worse for you. I'm already in it now. Might as well see it through. I tried to sound braver than I felt. What do? We give them a show. Make this marriage look as real as possible. Starting now. Before I could ask what he meant, he reached across the table and took my hand. The gesture looked casual, affectionate, like something a husband would do. His thumb traced small circles on my palm. My brain stuttered. What are you doing? People are watching. We need to look comfortable with each other. His voice was low. Is this okay? It should have felt calculated. This was all fake, all performance. But something about the way he held my hand, gentle and warm, made my pulse quicken. It's fine, I managed. You're a terrible liar. I'm a great liar. I've been in Seoul for 5 years, pretending that rude comments don't bother me. His expression darkened. What kind of comments? I shrugged with my free hand. The usual. Where are you really from? Your Korean is so good for a foreigner. Wow, your skin is so dark. Can I touch your hair? That kind of thing. People have asked to touch your hair. More times than I can count. Usually without asking, actually. Do-yoon's grip on my hand tightened slightly. That's unacceptable. It's life. You deal with it or you leave. I met his eyes. I chose to deal with it. You shouldn't have to. Maybe not. But the world isn't fair. We both know that. Something shifted in his expression. Understanding, maybe. Like he knew exactly what I meant. The waiter arrived with our food, forcing us to separate. I immediately missed the warmth of his hand. Stop it. Don't get attached to fake gestures. Dinner passed in a blur of watching and being watched. Every time I looked up, someone was staring. Some people whispered behind their hands. Others were more obvious, pulling out phones to take pictures. Does this ever get easier? I asked, pushing food around my plate. Being stared at constantly. No, you just get better at ignoring it. How long did that take you? He considered. I'll let you know when it happens. I smiled despite myself. He had a dry sense of humor that snuck up on you. We were almost finished eating when a young woman approached our table. She was beautiful, in that effortless way some people managed. Designer dress, perfect hair, confident smile, but her eyes were cold when they landed on me. Do-yoon oppa, she said in Korean, her voice sugar-sweet. I heard the most ridiculous rumor about you getting married. I told everyone it couldn't possibly be true. All right, quick pause. I need to know something. Are you Team Simeon or Team Do-yoon right now? Because things are about to get really messy, and I need to know whose side you're on. Drop a comment and let me know if you think Do-yoon is genuinely trying to help Simeon, or if he's just using her. And what would you do if you were in her position? Stick around because the next part is going to make your heart race. Yoo-yun's face went blank. Seo-jin. Do-yoon and I have known each other since childhood. Friend. She deliberately called me his friend, not his wife. Simeon, I said, keeping my voice pleasant. His wife. Oh, so it is true. Seo-jin laughed, but it sounded forced. How unexpected. Do-yoon never mentioned he was seeing anyone. We talk all the time, don't we, Oppa? Strange that he would forget to mention something as important as a relationship. Do-yoon stood up. Seo-jin, this isn't the time. You've been avoiding my calls for weeks, and now I find out you're married to someone I've never heard of? Her voice rose slightly. People at nearby tables started paying attention. My family has been planning our announcement for months. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? Oh no. This was the fiancé. The arranged marriage girl. We never agreed to an announcement. Do-yoon said firmly. Your family and Mrs. Kang made plans without consulting me, because we thought you understood how these things work. Our families, our businesses, they're meant to merge. It's been arranged since we were teenagers. Seo-jin's eyes filled with tears. Real or fake? I couldn't tell. How could you do this to me? I felt a stab of sympathy despite myself. Even if this was an arranged marriage, Seo-jin clearly had feelings involved, and here I was, the obstacle. The outsider who'd appeared out of nowhere and ruined everything. I'm sorry, Do-yoon said, and he actually sounded sorry. But I can't marry you. I never could. You deserve someone who chooses you, not someone forced into it by contracts. And you chose her? Seo-jin looked at me with pure hatred. Some random translator? What could she possibly give you that I can't? Seo-jin. Do-yoon's voice carried a warning. But she wasn't done. She turned to me fully, tears streaming down her perfect face. You think you've won something? You think marrying him makes you one of us? You'll never belong in our world. Never. Everyone on this ship is laughing at you. Laughing at the idea that someone like you could end up with someone like him. The words hit like physical blows. Someone like you. I'd heard variations of that my whole life, but it never stopped stinging. Keeping my dignity, even though I wanted to disappear. I understand you're upset, and I'm sorry this situation is painful, but insulting me won't change anything. Won't it? Or will you do what people like you always do and realize you're in over your head? Seo-jin stepped closer. Take whatever money he's offered you and leave, before you get hurt. That's enough. Do-yoon moved between us, his voice ice cold. You need to leave. Now. Don't defend her. She's using you. I said leave. Seo-jin stared at him for a long moment, mascara running down her cheeks. Then she turned and fled, nearly running out of the dining room. The entire room had gone silent. Every single person was watching us. Do-yoon turned to me. Are you okay? I nodded, not trusting my voice. I wasn't okay. I was shaking and embarrassed and angry. But I couldn't show that. Not here. Not in front of all these people waiting for me to break. Let's go, he said quietly. I let him guide me out of the dining room. The walk felt endless, every eye burning into my back. Someone muttered something as we passed. Someone else laughed. We made it to the deck before my composure cracked. Gripping the railing, the ocean stretched out endlessly, dark and vast. This was a mistake, a huge mistake. She was out of line. She was honest. I don't belong in that world. Everyone knows it. Everyone sees it. I turned to face him. Why did you really choose me? Out of everyone on this ship, everyone you could have grabbed, why me? Do-yoon was quiet for a moment. You want the truth? That would be nice for a change. When you walked into that room, you looked terrified. But you didn't run. Even with all those people staring at you, demanding to know who you were, you stood there. He stepped closer. Most people in Seoul spend their whole lives trying to impress those families, bowing and scraping and doing whatever they're told. But you looked at them like they were just people, annoying people who were in your way. I was lost looking for a bathroom. That's not bravery. That's bad navigation. Maybe. But when I grabbed your hand, you could have screamed. Could have told everyone I was insane. You had every right to. His dark eyes met mine. Instead, you played along. Even when you were scared. Even when you didn't understand what was happening, you played along. That takes strength. My throat felt tight. Or stupidity. Sometimes they're the same thing. A small smile tugged at his mouth. I know this is hard. I know I've put you in an impossible position. But you're handling it better than anyone I've ever met, including me. Seo-jin was right though. I am in over my head. So am I. He ran a hand through his hair. I've been in over my head since my father died, and left me with an empire full of vultures. Every day I wake up and pretend I know what I'm doing. Pretend I'm not terrified of making the wrong move and losing everything. I'd never heard him sound uncertain before. It was strangely comforting, like maybe we were both just faking our way through this. Your father died? I asked softly. 2 years ago. Heart attack. He was in the middle of negotiations with the Park family when it happened. Do-yoon looked out at the ocean. Everyone expected me to honor his agreements. Marry Seo-jin, merge the companies, play the part of dutiful son. But I couldn't. I won't build my life on someone else's plans. Is that why you grabbed me? To escape the plans? Partly. He hesitated. And partly because when I saw you standing there, looking lost and out of place, I thought maybe you'd understand what it's like to not fit in the box everyone tries to put you in. My heart did something complicated in my chest. You think we're alike? I think we're both tired of being told who we're supposed to be. A cool breeze swept across the deck, making me shiver. Before I could react, Do-yoon shrugged off his jacket and draped it over my shoulders. The gesture was so casual, so natural, that I almost forgot we were pretending. Thank you, I murmured. You're welcome. We stood there in silence, looking out at the dark water. The ship cut through the waves, leaving white foam glowing in the moonlight. Music drifted from somewhere above us, soft and distant. Can I ask you something? Do-yoon said after a while. Sure. Why did you come to Seoul? 5 years ago. What brought you here? I wrapped his jacket tighter around myself. I wanted to prove something. To my family, to myself, that I could make it somewhere difficult. Somewhere I didn't automatically belong. I laughed, but it sounded bitter. Joke's on me, I guess. You've been here 5 years. You learned Korean, built a career, survived in one of the most competitive cities in the world. That's not a joke. That's impressive. Tell that to my supervisor who's ready to fire me. He won't fire you. You sound very confident about that. Because I'll make sure of it. Do-yoon turned to face me fully. I meant what I said earlier. When this is over, I'll help you. Not because I pity you, but because you've earned it. You're smart and capable, and you deserve opportunities that match your talent. I wanted to argue, wanted to tell him I didn't need his help or his compliments. But the truth was, it felt good to be seen. Really seen. Not as a diversity hire or a foreigner or an obstacle, but as someone competent. Thank you, I said quietly. Don't thank me yet. We still have 6 more days of this chaos. Right. 6 more days of fake marriage, angry socialites, and public scrutiny. Should be fun. If it helps, I'll try to make it less miserable. How generous. He smiled. A real smile this time, not the careful mask he wore in public. It changed his whole face, made him look younger, human. Stop noticing things like that. This is business. He's using you as much as you're using him. But my heart wasn't listening to logic anymore. A door opened behind us. Jae-won appeared, looking urgent. We have a problem. Another one? I sighed. What now? The reporter on board. Kim Min-soo. He's been asking questions about Simeon. Digging into her background, her family, her work history. Jae-won looked at me apologetically. He's planning an article. A big one. My stomach dropped. What kind of article? The exposé kind. He wants to prove your marriage is fake, and that Simeon is a con artist. Do-yoon's expression went cold. When does it publish? Tomorrow morning. It's already written. I saw a draft. Jae-won pulled out his phone, scrolling through screenshots. He's got photos, interviews with unnamed sources, the whole thing. It's bad. I read over his shoulder, my vision blurring as I took in the words. Gold digger, opportunist, manipulative. Every sentence was designed to destroy me. Can we stop it? Do-yoon asked. Not without proof that the marriage is real. And even then he might publish anyway. Freedom of press and all that. Jae-won looked between us. You two need to decide how far you're willing to take this lie. Because by tomorrow morning, everyone in Seoul will have an opinion about your relationship. I felt dizzy. This was spiraling out of control faster than I could process. A fake marriage for 1 week had sounded manageable. But this? Public humiliation on a national scale? I need to think, I said, stepping away from both of them. I need air. You're already outside, Jae-won pointed out. Then I need more air. Different air. I pulled off Do-yoon's jacket and handed it back to him. I'm going back to my cabin. Simeon, wait. Do-yoon caught my wrist gently. We'll figure this out. Will we? Because right now it feels like everything is falling apart, and I'm the one who's going to pay for it. I pulled free. I just need some time alone. Please. I walked away before either of them could argue. My vision blurred with tears I refused to let fall. Not yet. Not where anyone could see. I made it to my cabin and locked the door behind me. Only then did I let myself slide down to the floor, head in my hands. What had I gotten myself into? This was supposed to be simple. 1 week of pretending, then back to normal life. But normal life was gone, destroyed by photos and gossip and articles that would follow me forever. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You should have stayed away from him. This is your only warning. I stared at the message, my blood running cold. A threat. Someone was actually threatening me. Another buzz. A photo this time. Me walking to my cabin. Taken just minutes ago. They were watching me, right now. I scrambled to my feet, heart pounding. Who sent this? How did they get my number? How did they know where I was? A knock on my door made me jump. Simeon? It's me. Open the door. Do-yoon's voice. I'd never been so relieved to hear another person. I unlocked the door and yanked it open. He took one look at my face and stepped inside, closing the door behind him. What happened? I held out my phone with shaking hands. His face went dark as he read the messages. When did you get these? Just now. Someone was following me. Someone is watching me right now. Do-yoon made a call, speaking rapid Korean too fast for me to follow. Then he pocketed his phone and looked at me. Pack a bag. You're moving to my suite. What? No. I can't. That would just make things worse. Someone just threatened you. Followed you. Photographed you. His voice was hard. You're not staying here alone where anyone could access your room. But people will see me moving my stuff. They'll talk. Let them talk. Your safety matters more than gossip. He started pulling clothes from my small closet. Pack. Now. We can argue about it later. I wanted to protest. Wanted to maintain some independence. But fear overrode pride. I grabbed my suitcase and started throwing things inside. My hands still shook. Hey, Do-yoon touched my shoulder gently. Look at me. I did. His dark eyes were serious, but calm. I won't let anyone hurt you. That's a promise. Whatever else happens, whatever lies we're telling everyone else, that part is real, okay? I nodded, not trusting my voice. My suitcase rolling behind us through the empty hallways. Somewhere on this ship was a person who wanted to scare me, maybe hurt me, and the only person standing between me and them was a man I'd met less than 12 hours ago. A man I was starting to trust, despite every instinct telling me not to. A man who might be the most dangerous person on this entire ship. Do-yoon's suite was on a completely different level than my cabin. Literally. We took an elevator to the top deck, where apparently the ultra-wealthy stayed. The hallway was quieter here, carpeted in thick cream fabric that swallowed sound. He unlocked a door at the end of the hall and held it open. I stepped inside and tried not to stare. The main room was bigger than my entire apartment in Seoul. Floor-to-ceiling windows. No, stop, don't use that phrase. Huge windows showed the ocean stretching endlessly. A full sitting area, a dining table, a bar in the corner. Guest room is through there, Do-yoon said, pointing to a door on the left. Private bathroom, balcony access. You'll have complete privacy. This is too much, I said, still taking it all in. I could just, I don't know, get security outside my cabin or something. Security can't stop someone determined enough. Here, I can actually keep you safe. He set my suitcase by the guest room door. I know this is uncomfortable, but it's temporary. Everything about this situation was temporary. I had to keep reminding myself of that. I wheeled my suitcase into the guest room and stopped short. The bed was enormous, covered in white linens that probably cost more than my monthly salary. More huge windows, a sitting area, a bathroom with a tub big enough to swim in. This was absurd. 24 hours ago, I'd been worried about impressing my supervisor. Now I was hiding in a luxury suite from anonymous threats while pretending to be married to a man I barely knew. My phone buzzed again. I nearly dropped it, but this time it was just Min-ji. You okay? Heard you left dinner early. I typed back quickly. Long story. I'm fine. The rumor mill on this ship must be working overtime. I wondered what version of tonight's events people were sharing. Probably nothing close to the truth. A soft knock on the doorframe made me turn. Do-yoon stood there, holding 2 mugs. "Tea," he said. "You looked like you could use some. I look like I could use a strong drink. But tea works too." I took the mug gratefully. It was warm against my palms, soothing. "Thank you. For this, for the room, for everything. I know I keep saying it, but I mean it. You don't have to thank me. This is my fault." He leaned against the doorframe, his own mug untouched. "I pulled you into my mess. The least I can do is make sure you survive it." Comforting. I'm not good at comfort. I'm starting to notice. I sat on the edge of the bed, suddenly exhausted. "Can I ask you something?" "Always." "That woman, Seo Jin, did you ever love her?" The question surprised him. I could see it in the way his shoulders tensed slightly. "No. I tried to care about her. For my father's sake. But it always felt wrong. Like wearing someone else's clothes that didn't quite fit. She loves you though, or thinks she does. She loves the idea of me. The status, the business, the life we're supposed to have together." He took a sip of his tea finally. "That's not love, that's a transaction. And what we're doing, this fake marriage, what's that? Also a transaction," he admitted. "But at least we're both honest about it. Were we though? Because sitting here in his suite, drinking tea while he looked at me with those dark eyes, it didn't feel like a transaction anymore. It felt like something else, something more complicated." "You should get some rest," Do-Yun said, pushing off from the doorframe. "Tomorrow is going to be difficult." "Right, the article. The expose that would tell all of Seoul I was a gold digger and a fraud. What's the plan?" I asked. "When that article drops and everyone sees it, what do? We stick to our story. We don't let them see you break." He paused at the door. "And we find out who sent you those threats. Jae-won is already working on it. Do you think it was Seo Jin? Maybe. Or Mrs. Kang. Or any number of people who want to see this marriage fall apart." His jaw tightened. "But whoever it is, they made a mistake by coming after you directly. That changes things." There was something dangerous in his voice. A reminder that Do-Yun wasn't just a businessman playing games. He was someone people feared for good reason. "Don't do anything crazy," I said. "I'm not worth starting a war over." He looked at me for a long moment. "You're wrong about that." Then he was gone, pulling the door shut behind him. I sat there holding my tea, my heart doing complicated things in my chest. Stop it. Don't read into his words. Don't start believing this is real. But sleep didn't come easy that night. I woke to the sound of shouting. For a confused second, I didn't know where I was. Then it all came back. The cruise, the fake marriage, the threats. I was in Do-Yun's guest room, and someone was yelling in the main suite. I grabbed a robe and cracked open the door. Do-Yun stood near the windows, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid, angry Korean. Jae-won sat on the couch, laptop open, looking grim. "I don't care what the board thinks," Do-Yun was saying. "They can either stand with me or step aside. Those are the options." He hung up and immediately made another call. That's when he noticed me in the doorway. "The article published," Jae-won said before I could ask. "An hour ago. It's everywhere." My stomach dropped. "How bad?" "See for yourself." He turned his laptop around. The headline made my vision blur. "Mafia boss's fake wife. The truth behind Cha." Me walking alone on the deck. And worst of all, a photo of my company ID badge with all my personal information visible. The article was worse than I'd imagined. It painted me as a scheming opportunist who deliberately targeted Do-Yun. It questioned my visa status, my employment history, even my education. Unnamed sources claimed I'd been bragging about trapping a rich husband. Other sources said I was a known scam artist. Every word was a lie, but lies spread faster than truth ever could. "There's more," Jae-won said quietly. "Check social media." I pulled out my phone with shaking hands. My Instagram was flooded with hate messages. Hundreds of them. My company email was full of angry letters demanding I be fired. Someone had found my old Facebook account and shared photos from years ago, making up stories about each one. He took the phone gently from my hands. "Don't read those. None of it matters. It all matters. My life is being destroyed in real time, and you're saying it doesn't matter? I'm saying the opinions of strangers who don't know you don't define who you are." His voice was firm. "Yes, this is bad. Yes, it's going to get worse before it gets better. But we will fix it." "How? How do you fix something like this?" "By telling the truth. I laughed, but it came out broken. The truth? That our marriage is fake and I'm just some random woman you grabbed to escape an arranged marriage. That truth will definitely make things better. Jaewon closed his laptop. Actually, he means a different truth. I looked between them. What are you talking about? Do-yeon took a breath. Remember when you asked why I chose you specifically? I told you it was because you didn't run. Because you seemed strong. Yeah, so? That wasn't the whole truth. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small object. The silver ring. He'd taken it off his finger for the first time since I met him. Do you recognize this? Inside the band, I could see an engraving, but couldn't read it from where I stood. No, I said slowly. Should I? 5 years ago, you were new to Seoul, working at a coffee shop near Gangnam Station while studying Korean. His voice was careful, controlled. A man came in one day, older, sick. He collapsed near the counter. My heart started beating faster. I did remember that. An elderly man, well-dressed, clearly unwell. The other customers had backed away, unsure what to do. But I'd called an ambulance, stayed with him until it arrived. You held his hand, Do-yeon continued. Kept him calm. The paramedics said you probably saved his life by acting so quickly. I remember, I whispered. But what does that have to do with anything? That man was my father. The room tilted. What? He had a heart condition. That wasn't his first collapse, but it was one of the worst ones. You helped him when no one else would. Do-yeon turned the ring over in his palm. He never forgot it. He tried to find you afterward, to thank you properly. But the coffee shop couldn't give out employee information. So he kept looking, and when he died 2 years later, he left me this ring and a letter. I couldn't breathe. This couldn't be real. The letter said to find the woman who helped him. The one who showed kindness to a stranger without expecting anything in return. He said someone like that was rare and precious. Do-yeon's eyes met mine. He described you. Your smile, your kindness. The way you spoke Korean with an accent, but didn't let that stop you from helping. I've been looking for you for 2 years. That's insane, I said, but my voice shook. You expect me to believe that you've been searching for me because I helped your father 5 years ago, and what? You just happened to have a fake marriage scheme ready when I walked into that room? No. Finding you there was coincidence, but recognizing you wasn't. He held out the ring. Look at the engraving. I took it with trembling fingers. The inscription inside was worn but readable. To those who show kindness to strangers. My grandmother gave this to my father when he started his business. It was supposed to remind him to be generous, to help people. Do-yeon's voice was soft now. When he died, he wanted you to have it. As thanks, I've been carrying it, looking for you in coffee shops and restaurants and anywhere I thought you might be. And then you walked into that lounge. This was too much, too convenient, too perfect. You're lying, I said, handing the ring back. This is just another manipulation. Another way to keep me playing along with your fake marriage. It's the truth. Prove it. Do-yeon pulled out his phone, scrolled through photos, then handed it to me. Was a description. Young woman, early 20s, dark skin, beautiful smile, works at coffee shop near Gangnam Station, speaks Korean with American accent. Saved my life. Below it, another photo. A letter in Korean, handwritten. I recognized enough characters to understand the general meaning. Find her. Thank her. She deserves to know she mattered. My eyes burned with tears. Why didn't you tell me this from the beginning? Because it sounds insane. Because you already didn't trust me. Because I thought you'd think I was using my dead father to manipulate you. He ran a hand through his hair, which is exactly what you think now anyway. I don't know what to think. I sat down hard on the couch. This is too much. The article, the threats, now this. I can't process all of it. Then don't. Just know that choosing you wasn't random. It was fate. Or luck. Or whatever you want to call it. Do-yeon crouched in front of me, bringing himself to eye level. I've been looking for you for 2 years. 2 years of searching and hoping and wondering if I'd ever find the woman who showed my father kindness in his last months. And then you walked into that room and I knew it was you. A tear slid down my cheek. That doesn't make any of this okay. You still lied. Still used me. I know. And I'm sorry. But I'm trying to make it right. He reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away. When I didn't, he brushed the tear away with his thumb. Let me make it right. The moment stretched between us, fragile and strange. His hand lingered on my cheek. My heart was racing. J1 cleared his throat loudly. Not to interrupt this very touching scene, but we still have a massive PR crisis to handle. Do-yoon pulled back, standing up. The moment broke. Right. The article. The scandal. Reality crashing back in. Okay. I need you to do something for me before we get to the end of this crazy story. If you've made it this far, you're invested, I can tell. Hit that subscribe button right now, because the ending is going to blow your mind, and you're going to want to see what happens next in the stories I share. Trust me, you don't want to miss what comes after this. Subscribe and let's finish this together. What's the plan? I asked, wiping my face. We hold a press conference, Do-yoon said. Right here on the ship. We tell our story, show proof of our connection, and we control the narrative before it controls us. A press conference. In front of reporters and cameras and everyone who already hates me? In front of everyone who doesn't know you yet, he corrected. Give them a chance to see who you really are. Smart, strong, kind. The woman my father saw 5 years ago. And if they don't believe us, then we deal with it together. He held out his hand. What do you say? One more performance? But this time, with the truth? I looked at his outstretched hand, at J1 watching hopefully, at the ring still sitting on the table, proof of a connection I'd never known existed. This was crazy, all of it, but I'd come this far. I took Do-yoon's hand. Let's do it. The press conference was set for noon in the ship's main ballroom. Jae-won worked his connections to get legitimate reporters there, not just the tabloid journalist who'd written the hit piece. Do-yoon made calls to his business associates, making it clear that standing with him meant standing with me. I spent the morning preparing, not just my appearance, though I did borrow a dress from the ship's boutique that made me feel more confident, but preparing mentally, going over the story, the truth, the parts that mattered. Min-ji appeared at the suite with makeup and moral support. Everyone's talking about this, she said, applying foundation to my face with practiced efficiency. Some people think you're a scammer, but some people think it's romantic. Star-crossed lovers, secret connection, all that stuff. What do you think? I asked. She paused, meeting my eyes in the mirror. I think you're brave, scary brave. I could never stand in front of cameras and defend myself like you're about to. I don't feel brave. I feel terrified. Same thing usually. She finished my makeup and stepped back. There. You look amazing. Go show them who Simeon Carter really is. The ballroom was packed. Reporters, passengers, crew members, everyone who could squeeze in. Cameras lined the back wall. I saw Mrs. Kang in the front row, arms crossed. Seo Jin sat near the back, her face unreadable. Do-yoon stood at a podium set up on the small stage. I was supposed to join him in a few minutes, after he made his statement. I watched from the side entrance as he began speaking. Thank you all for coming, he said, his voice carrying across the room. I know there's been a lot of speculation about my personal life, about my relationship with Simeon Carter. I want to address those rumors directly. The room went silent. 5 years ago, my father collapsed in a coffee shop in Gangnam. He was alone, scared, in pain. Most people in that shop backed away. They didn't want to get involved, but one person stepped forward. He paused. Simeon Carter. She called for help, stayed with him, held his hand until the ambulance arrived. She saved his life that day. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. My father never forgot her kindness. Before he died, he asked me to find her, to thank her. I've been searching for 2 years. Do-yoon's voice grew stronger. So no. Our marriage announcement wasn't planned. The timing was sudden. But our connection is real. It's been real for 5 years. We just didn't know it yet. He gestured toward me. Simeon, please join me. Every eye in the room turned to where I stood. My legs felt like water. But I made myself walk forward, up the steps, to stand beside Do-yoon at the podium. The cameras flashed. Questions erupted from the crowd. Do-yoon held up a hand for silence. Simeon will speak for herself, but I want to make one thing clear first. Anyone who has threatened her, insulted her, or tried to harm her, you've made an enemy of me. That includes members of the press, business associates, or anyone else who thinks they can bully someone I care about. The room went very quiet. He stepped aside, giving me the podium. I gripped the edges, looking out at all those faces. Some curious, some hostile, some cautiously hopeful. "I didn't plan any of this," I said, and my voice only shook a little. "I came to Seoul 5 years ago to challenge myself, to prove I could build a life somewhere difficult. I worked hard, learned the language, tried my best to respect the culture while staying true to myself. And yes, sometimes that was lonely. Sometimes it was painful. But I never gave up." A reporter raised her hand. "Did you remember helping Mr. Cha's father?" "Not until yesterday. It was one moment in one day 5 years ago. I didn't expect anything from it. I just did what felt right." I looked at Do-Yun. "I had no idea it would lead here." "What about the allegations that you're using him for money or status?" another reporter called out. "I'm a translator. I work for a living. I have my own apartment, my own career, my own life. I don't need anyone's money or status." I took a breath. But I won't lie. Being connected to Do-Yun has opened doors I never could have walked through on my own. Not because of money, but because of who people think I am now. And that's unfair. It shouldn't take being associated with a powerful man for people to take me seriously. Some people in the audience nodded. Others frowned. "So what happens now?" someone asked. "Are you two really married or not?" Do-Yun and I exchanged glances. This was the moment. Truth or more lies. "We're married in every way that matters," Do-Yun said carefully. "Legal paperwork can come later. What matters is commitment. And I'm committed to Simeon, to protecting her, supporting her, and making sure she has every opportunity she deserves." It wasn't a yes or no. It was something in between. Ambiguous enough to not be a complete lie, but honest enough to feel real. The questions continued for another 20 minutes. Some harsh, some fair, some designed to trip us up. But we handled them together, backing each other up, presenting a united front. Finally, it was over. We left the stage together, cameras flashing behind us. In the hallway outside, I finally let myself breathe. "That was awful," I said. "You were perfect," Do-Yun replied. I was terrified. No one could tell. Jong-won appeared, grinning. "The live stream already has 10,000 comments. Most of them are calling you two relationship goals. Public opinion is shifting. Most of them," I caught the qualifier. "Some people will always hate, but you're winning more hearts than you're losing." He showed us his phone. The comments scrolled by so fast I could barely read them. "They're so cute together. I believe them. She seems genuine." He looks at her like she's his whole world. That last one made my chest tight. The next few days passed in a blur. The article's impact lessened as our version of the story spread. Do-Yun's business associates slowly came around, some even apologizing for their initial reactions. Mrs. Kang left the cruise at the next port, apparently admitting defeat. Seo-jin avoided us completely. I spent more time with Do-Yun. Not because we had to for appearances, but because I wanted to. We'd have breakfast on his private balcony, talking about everything and nothing. He told me about his father, his business, his fears. I told him about my family back home, my dreams, my struggles in Seoul. The lines between fake and real blurred until I couldn't see them anymore. On the 6th night, we attended a formal dinner together. No scandals this time, no confrontations. Just a quiet meal where people actually smiled at us. I could get used to this, I admitted as we danced afterward. The ship's ballroom had been transformed for the final night party. String lights, soft music, couples swaying together. Used to what? Do-Yun's hand rested on my waist, proper but warm. Being treated like I belong somewhere. You do belong. You always did. Some people just needed longer to realize it. I looked up at him. We'd been this close before, for photos and appearances, but this felt different. "Real. Do-Yun," I started, not sure what I wanted to say. "I know," he said softly. "I feel it too. This is supposed to be fake. I know. We had a deal. 1 week, then we go our separate ways. I know. So why does it feel like everything's changed?" He pulled me slightly closer. "Because it has, at least for me." My heart hammered against my ribs. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I don't want this to end tomorrow. I'm saying somewhere between the fake marriage and the press conferences and the late-night conversations, this stopped being pretend." His dark eyes searched mine. "I'm saying I'm falling for you, Simeon Carter, and I have no idea what to do about it." I should have pulled away. Should have reminded him this was business. Should have protected my heart. Instead, I said, I'm falling for you too. The confession hung between us, fragile and terrifying and real. Do-yoon's hand came up to cup my face. Can I kiss you? For real this time, not for cameras. I nodded, not trusting my voice. He leaned in slowly, giving me every chance to change my mind. Then his lips met mine, soft and careful. The kiss was gentle, almost hesitant, like he was afraid I might disappear. I kissed him back, my hands finding his shoulders. The world narrowed to just this, just us. When we finally pulled apart, I was breathless. Neither of us wanting the moment to end. But all moments end eventually. The next morning, the cruise docked in Seoul. Reality waited on the shore. My job situation, his business obligations, the questions about what we actually were to each other. We stood on the deck together, watching the city skyline grow closer. What happens now? I asked. I don't know, Do-yoon admitted. I've been so focused on surviving this week, I haven't thought about after. Very reassuring. He smiled. We figure it out, together, if you want to. Did I want to? The smart answer was no. Walk away, salvage what I could of my life, avoid more complications. But my heart gave a different answer. I want to, I said, but I need time to figure out what's real and what's leftover adrenaline from the craziest week of my life. Fair enough. He took my hand, threading our fingers together. Take all the time you need. I'll be here. The ship docked. Passengers began disembarking. Do-yoon had business to handle, meetings he couldn't postpone. I needed to face my supervisor and figure out if I still had a job. We separated at the terminal, a brief hug that felt too short and too long at the same time. Surrounded by assistants and security and all the trappings of his real life, the life I wasn't sure I fit into. I took a taxi back to my apartment. It looked smaller than I remembered. Emptier. My phone buzzed constantly. Messages from Min-ji checking on me. Emails from my company requesting a meeting. Notifications from social media that I was too afraid to check. 1 week. Just 1 week had turned my entire world upside down. I spent the next few days in a strange limbo. My company put me on paid leave while they investigated the situation. Do-yoon texted every day, but we didn't see each other. He was dealing with fallout from his business partners. I was trying to process everything that had happened. The media attention slowly faded. New scandals replaced ours. Life moved on. But I couldn't seem to move with it. 2 weeks after the cruise ended, I got called into my supervisor's office. Mr. Park looked tired. Simeon, we've completed our review, he said. Given the circumstances and the public nature of what happened, we've decided to accept your resignation. My resignation? I repeated. I didn't resign. No, but we both know continuing here would be uncomfortable for everyone. We're offering a generous severance package. 3 months' salary. They were firing me. Politely, but still firing me. I should have argued, should have fought, but I was too tired. Fine, I said. I'll clean out my desk. Walking out of that building felt surreal. 5 years of work, gone because I'd walked into the wrong room at the wrong time, or the right room at the right time. I still wasn't sure which. My phone rang as I reached the street. Do-yoon. Hey, I answered. Are you okay? You sound off. I just got fired. Well, forced to resign. Same thing, really. Silence. Then I'm sorry. This is my fault. It's everyone's fault. Or no one's. I don't know anymore. I leaned against a building, suddenly exhausted. I think I need to go home. Back to my family. Figure out what I actually want. For how long? I don't know. A few weeks maybe. Maybe longer. More silence. I understand. Do you? Because I'm not sure I do. Everything's so confusing and I can't think straight and I need space to figure out what's real. The words tumbled out. What happened on that cruise? What I feel for you. I don't know if it's real or just trauma bonding or some kind of Stockholm syndrome. It's real for me, Do-yoon said quietly. But I'll wait, however long you need. Thank you, Simeon. For what it's worth, you walking into that room was the best accident that ever happened to me. My eyes burned. I'll call you when I figure things out. I'll be here. I hung up and booked a flight home. 3 weeks later, I sat in my childhood bedroom, staring at the ceiling. My mom had been thrilled to see me. asked a million questions about Korea and the cruise and the mysterious man from the photos she'd seen online. I'd told her an edited version, the truth, but softer around the edges. "So do you love him?" she'd asked. "I don't know," I'd admitted. "Maybe. Probably. But that doesn't mean we make sense together. Since when does love make sense?" I'd been thinking about that ever since. My phone sat on the nightstand, silent. Do-yoon had kept his promise. He hadn't called or texted, giving me the space I'd asked for. But somehow that made it worse. I missed his messages, missed his voice, missed him. Maybe that was my answer. I was reaching for my phone when the doorbell rang downstairs. "Simeon," my mom called. "Package for you." I went downstairs. My mom held a small box, nicely wrapped, with Korean postage marks. My heart started racing. "Who's it from?" she asked, way too casually. "I think I know." I took the box to my room and opened it carefully. Inside, nestled in tissue paper, was the silver ring, the one from Do-yoon's father, the one he'd been wearing the night we met. Under it, a handwritten note on cream-colored paper. "Simeon, I asked you to act like my wife on that cruise. I needed an escape, a solution, someone to play a part. You gave me all of that and more. But somewhere along the way, between the fake smiles and the real conversations, between the performances and the quiet moments, you became something I never expected. You became the only person who ever made that lie feel like the truth. I'm not asking you to come back to Seoul. I'm not asking you to be my wife, real or pretend. I'm just asking you to know that you matter, that what happened between us mattered, that 5 years ago you saved my father's life, and 2 weeks ago you saved mine in a completely different way. The ring is yours. It was always meant to be yours. Keep it as a reminder that kindness matters, that you matter. Whatever you decide, wherever you go, I hope you find everything you're looking for. With more love than I knew I was capable of, Do-yoon." I read the note 3 times, tears streaming down my face. This man, this complicated, infuriating, wonderful man. I looked at the ring, at the inscription inside. To those who show kindness to strangers. Do-yoon had been a stranger 2 weeks ago. Now he was something else entirely. My mom appeared in the doorway. "You okay, baby?" "I think I need to go back to Seoul," I said. She smiled like she'd been waiting for me to say that. "Then go. Chase your happiness. Lord knows you've earned it." I booked a flight for the next day. The plane ride felt endless. I clutched the ring the entire time, turning it over and over in my palm. I hadn't called Do-yoon to tell him I was coming. Part of me worried he'd changed his mind, moved on, realized I wasn't worth the wait. But the bigger part of me trusted what I'd seen in his eyes, what I'd felt in his kiss, what I'd read in his letter. I took a taxi straight from the airport to the address Jae-won had given me when I'd frantically texted him. Do-yoon's office building in Gangnam. The lobby was all glass and steel, intimidatingly modern. Security stopped me at the desk. "I'm here to see Cha Do-yoon," I said in Korean. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but tell him Simeon Carter is here. Please." The guard made a call, spoke quietly, then looked at me with surprise. "Top floor. He's expecting you." My heart hammered as the elevator climbed. The doors opened to a sleek office space. A secretary smiled and gestured toward a large door at the end of the hall. I walked slowly, my courage wavering with each step. Then the door opened and Do-yoon stood there. He looked the same, dark hair, sharp eyes, that controlled expression. But when he saw me, his whole face changed, lit up with something bright and real and unmistakable. "You came back," he said. "You sent me a ring and a love letter. What did you expect?" I hoped, but I didn't expect. He stepped closer. "Why did you come back?" "Because I figured out what's real," I said. "This. Us. Whatever this is, it's real. And I don't want to run from it anymore. Even though it's complicated, especially because it's complicated. Easy is boring." I held up the ring. "Plus, your dad wanted me to have this. Seems rude to ignore a dying man's wish." Do-yoon laughed. Actually laughed. Then he closed the distance between us and kissed me. Not gentle this time, but fierce and sure and full of everything we'd both been holding back. When we finally broke apart, I was dizzy. "So what now?" I asked. "We date? We figure this out as we go? We do whatever feels right." He tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. "No more pretending. No more performances. Just us, being honest. I can work with that. Good, because I love you, Simeon Carter. And I wanted you to hear me say it when you weren't contractually obligated to stand next to me. My heart felt too big for my chest. I love you too, even though you're stubborn and controlling and you make terrible first impressions. Fair points. But you're also kind and brave, and you see me for who I actually am. I smiled. Plus, you're pretty cute when you're not being terrifying. Pretty cute. He raised an eyebrow. That's the best you can do? Don't push your luck. He pulled me close again, and I let myself sink into the embrace. This man who'd been a stranger, then a fake husband, then something real. My phone buzzed. A text from Minji. Did you really fly back to Seoul for a man? Because the internet says you did, and I need details. I showed Do-yoon. He grinned. Want to give them something to talk about? He asked. Always. We took a selfie together, his arm around me, both of us smiling like idiots. He posted it with a simple caption. She said yes. To coffee. One step at a time. The comments exploded within seconds. But for once, I didn't care what anyone said. I was exactly where I was supposed to be, with exactly who I was supposed to be with. And this time, it wasn't an act. It was real.